I'm Jason Klamm, and this is the Comedy on Vinyl podcast. The year is 1989. The album is Bad News. The artist is Bad News, a.k.a. Rick Mayall. Ooh, let's get everybody's names. They're real names. So we got Alan Metcalf, Nigel Planer, Rick Mayall, and Peter Richardson. And my guest is Jeff Morris, who is Dr. Demento's historian and archivist. Thank you for being here, man.
Thank you for having me.
So this here's the thing. I feel like I had heard about this a few years ago, and then I kind of totally forgot to look up more about it. This was basically a rockumentary that was being recorded at the exact same time that Spinal Tap was being filmed, and is all legit English guys. And because it's English and because it didn't get a huge theatrical release, most Americans have no idea what it is.
Right, and if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know every bit of the history, and I wish I did, but if I'm not mistaken, this happened the year before Spinal Tap.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I don't know if the Spinal Tap people knew of it and just independently had the same idea, or they took their cue from this. I'm
right.
not sure.
There are, I mean, in terms of like, accents, attitudes, and the way they're poking fun at music, they are very similar. And it's also, there's a lot on this album, which is the Rhino re-release, I guess, 2 years after sort of the original, or 1 year after. It's a little confusing as to how they were released, but there's a lot of improv, or at least improv sounding stuff on this.
Yeah, that's one thing I wonder is, I wonder how much of this was scripted and how much of it was improv, because it certainly sounds very improv, but who knows? Yeah,
right. And there are a few times. I mean, at the very least, there are a few times when like there's a laugh that you would not have put in there if you were straight acting, where they're like, oh, you can hear one of them like clearly playing for the other one or pulling a face, making the other one laugh like an idiot, which is kind of great. And I liked the feel of this because it's kind of not dissimilar to what we expect from a good comedy podcast now. Like, even if they're improvising, like, you like this kind of like slight pulling you out of the reality, which I enjoy. Although it does feel like, as expected, Rick Mayall seems to be able to keep a straight face the whole time because he's a little crazy. Rick Mayall, I know better as either Drop Dead Fred or from The Young Ones. He's the Colin.
And the Din Dennis is Nigel Planer, who is also in The Young Ones as Neil. And then what are the other two?
The other two are Alan Metcalf, who doesn't even have a Wikipedia entry, no help there, and Peter Richardson. Again, also another name.
Okay, Peter Richardson then must be Spiderweb, and
Yes.
Alan Metcalf would be Vim Fuego, because
yes.
he does, one or more of the guys refer to him as Alan on occasion on the album.
Okay.
And then, I think he's kind of like, well, no, my name is Vim Fuego in this,
That's really funny. So, like,
yeah.
if you haven't heard it, obviously it's definitely worth a listen, or we wouldn't be discussing it. But there's a lot of like discussing the making of the music, and then there's a lot of music closer to the end, including, I think, the thing that it seems they're best known for, which is a really upsetting cover of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, I think that video did get played on MTV at least once during the Dr. Demento countdown. I don't know if it got played outside of that. It might have. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. And one of the best parts, though, is that, like, if you listen to that, it's crazy. I mean, you can tell that it's talented musicians trying to sound insane, but it's produced by Brian May, so you can't discount
exactly,
it.
From Queen. So.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. So when did you first hear this album?
Yeah, so the way I got into this was Dr. Demento played the track Cashing In on Christmas on November 26, 1989, which this really has nothing to do with anything, but that happened to be the last show aired by WLRS, which is the station I was listening to at that time.
Okay.
Didn't hear the show for a while after that, but that's the only time he's ever played anything from this album. But it was, and a friend of mine who's a huge fan of this album as well, he said, Cashing In on Christmas, he's like, that is the lamest track on the album. It's not that exciting, it's not that funny, but it was funny enough, and the attitude behind it was funny enough and I knew that they had this album out, is that I thought, oh, I'll buy the album and see what the rest of the album is like.
Yeah. What is your favorite? Is that still your a track that you love, or do you have a new favorite?
Oh, I don't have any favorites on this album.
No.
I mean, the whole album. I always listen to the whole album at once. I don't choose tracks. It's just, to me, it's like a whole stream of whatever. It's one of the few records I can think of that I'm pretty sure every single time I hear it, I laugh at some point.
It's like, really tight. I mean, short tracks for one, but also like it just, I don't know, there's just something about the way that they riff and the way they edited it together, or they're either that or they're just really good at keeping their improv short. But it's a really tight album.
Yeah. And the way the way they banter back and forth with each other, they're just always, oh my God. Hang on a second.
No problem.
I think this is Barry, actually. Hello? Anyway, so sorry about that interruption, but I did have to take...
That is the most appropriate interruption for this podcast ever, so it's absolutely fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were talking about, like, first of all, we were talking about if you have a favorite track, but you don't, and we were talking about what a tight album this is, and, where you first heard it, obviously, but we went over that, and we were talking about that Brian,
right, not to mention how tight their trousers are.
Exactly.
If they're wearing them. That's another track on the album.
That's the other thing too. Is like, I mean, I guess some of the things that they're parodying or satirizing are the things that I think any good comedian would notice about rock and roll, and so it feels like parallel thinking to me, even though there are a couple things where it's like you said, on the album, the insert, or when you open the gatefold, you can see that they're wearing only underwear, but they've got stuff strapped in there. So like the cucumber bit is very obviously, they did a cucumber bit in Spinal Tap too.
Oh, I totally forgot that. I know this album much better than I know Spinal Tap.
Sure.
I've seen Spinal Tap a time or two, but this is much better than Spinal Tap. But that may just be because I knew it first.
Sure, no, that's what happens. I mean, for me, only because I grew up with Spinal Tap, it's kind of the same thing, but also I haven't heard this whole album yet, and that's full disclosure for the audience at home. It's been a very busy set of weeks because of the Million McFly March. That said, like, I want to keep listening to this to the point where it's like, man, this is made at the same time. It's kind of the same attitude, and it grew on me very quickly.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And now, there is also an accompanying video of this, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the full story behind when the video was done versus when the album was done.
Mm-hmm.
Or there were multiple records in England. There's just the one over here.
Mm-hmm.
And I've only watched the video once, I think, and I was not as entertained by the video, nearly as entertained by the video as I was by the album. But I guess some of the jokes were the same, and I was like, okay, well, I've already heard that joke. I don't know. I need to watch the video again, but the video is not what we're reviewing here. So
right. No, but that makes sense, and that also kind of answers the question too. Is like, all right, it answers part of the question. Obviously, they had a plan for some of the bits that they did, and they're like, well, this was in the thing. Let's put it on the album. But they're different versions, right? It sounds like it's a different, specially made for the album, like the in between stuff, the in between the songs stuff.
I'm pretty sure. Well,
yeah.
So here's my understanding of what happened.
Sure.
And I've tried to figure this out over the years, and I still don't really know the full story. But
Mm-hmm.
I believe that there was a 6-track EP released in the UK, and I think that's what the lyric insert that comes with the LP has 6 tracks on it. So I'm pretty sure that's the 6 tracks that were on the British EP. And I thought that was maybe around 83, but I could be wrong, because I thought this actually happened before the Young Ones, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Then later, I think in 1987, but again, not 100% sure, they released an album in the UK called Bad News Bootleg, which was supposedly the recording sessions that made that previous album.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure these aren't the actual recording sessions, that they're just, improvs that they put together,
right.
to make it. But to me, that stuff is much more hilarious than the songs themselves.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, they're good. They're well produced, obviously, but yeah, their improv or whatever these are they're just fantastic to listen to. Especially
Yeah.
since who is it? Sorry, again I'm just getting used to the characters, but one of them's got just I think it's Spider Webb has an excessively kind of posh sound, not posh, but posher than the other guy's accent, and it just sounds so out of place. It's really fantastic.
Well, and Colin also has a well, Spider is kind of yeah, he kind of has maybe a slightly maybe it's well actually maybe a slightly Keith Moonish kind of voice.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But Colin thinks that he's better than the rest of them. Let's say that way, and so he thinks that he's kind of the intellectual of the group. And in fact, there's one of the tracks that's actually not on the Rhino LP, but there's one where he says, you know, I'm the only one of us who can string together more than two or three of what do they call it? Words together into a coherent sentence. But he can't remember the word for word as he's saying it.
God, that's so
it's like a ironic take on that. And then and then Den, who's Nigel Planer, also known as Neil on the Young Ones, seems to be kind of the dunce of the group, I guess, if you will. And then Vim Fuego, which is Alan, was it Metcalf?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Alan Metcalf. So he's the leader of the group, and he also, of course, thinks that he's better than everybody, or more important than everybody, because he's the leader and he's the lead singer. And there's several bits about that where they're bickering back and forth about that, but they really don't get along together well as in their characters.
Right. Okay, so we talked about when you first heard this. Have you gone out of your way then to expose friends to it? Like, have you said, maybe people who've already heard Spinal Tap, you're like, no, you need to listen to this? Yes.
Anybody who's a fan of Spinal Tap, I have to tell them about this. Now, I never force anybody to listen to anything, because my thing is kind of like, if somebody tells me I really am going to enjoy something and I have to listen to something, I probably don't like it as much in the end as if I came across it naturally by myself. But I will mention it to people, and like, if you want to listen to it, I'm happy to loan it to you.
Sure.
So that's the way I work those kind of things. But yeah.
Now, so you talk about, I want to go back just a bit to, it must have been, I don't want to use, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but it must have been kind of a big deal for you, the guy who is now Dr. Demento's archivist, must have been a big deal for you for your local radio station to no longer carry his show.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that definitely frustrated me. And I wrote them, I guess. Most frustrating part about it to me was that it was just a month before the end of the year, and all year I had been keeping track of the funny fives, and I was going to use a point system to try to determine the funny 25 at the end of the year, not knowing that it was in fact the exact same way that they do determine the funny 25. That's musical mic system, which now Demento does on his own. But so I had been keeping track of them all year, and then I'm like, oh no, you're gonna cut this off just 5 weeks before the final show. And they actually wrote me back and said, well, we're still getting the LPs even though we're not airing them. So if you want a copy of that last show, we'll just give you the LPs when it comes in.
Wow.
Like, whoa. First of all, I was shocked that it was distributed on LP. That kind of floored me. I had assumed it was tape or satellite or something. Actually, it was also on satellite. But then to actually have the actual LP that would have been on the radio, I just thought that was just too much.
Crazy.
And it was and I got it about a week and a half before the air date. So I was like, oh, this is just so
amazing.
Insanely exciting to me.
Wow. So how many of those, I mean, can you even estimate how many of those might be sitting out there? I mean, I'm sure you know how many you might have sitting around, but like, those have got to be a severe rarity, right?
Well, for any given episode of the show, I would say I would guess, between 100 and 200 copies.
But did they get destroyed or chucked? Like, I mean, what happened to them? I mean, were they sold just like a demo record would be?
Yeah, well, theoretically,
Mm-hmm.
they were to have been destroyed,
Yeah.
and I would imagine some did get destroyed, thrown away, or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I think a fair number of stations either kept them, or the DJs took them home, or
Yeah.
whatever. I found out, the following year, I was in the Great Escape in Louisville, which is a record and comic book store,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a whole bunch of copies of the LPs of the show, which obviously
That's
came from
amazing.
WLRS, the same station that gave me that one episode. And
That's
I asked
crazy.
them, well, can I get any more? Well, it turned out I guess they must have had a whole library full of them, which they then sold to Great Escape, which is
Wow.
not they shouldn't have done that.
Sure.
Their contract not to do that, but anyway, so I picked up some from Great Escape myself based on that, but.
Wow. That is, again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
Those didn't have any playlists with them.
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
because I guess those probably went in their logbooks or something. So I didn't know what was on each one, and I had recorded parts of the show, not full shows.
Sure.
So I had to go back to kind of my tape list and the order in which I recorded things and start estimating what week would this have been on to try to determine which show was going to have what I was interested in, because I couldn't just buy them all. I didn't
Yeah.
have the money to buy them. And I guess you could say that was, in a way, a genesis of what is now the playlist archive that I have on my site.
Yeah. Now, when did, well, first, I guess then, when did you first make contact with Dr. Demento?
So that happened in a few phases. The first time that I got a letter back from him was probably 1992.
Okay.
At least that's when we kind of struck up a regular correspondence in 1992. It's possible I got a letter a couple years before that, just a one-off. But in 1992, I started writing him regularly, and he would respond. And then the first time I talked to him on the phone was March 1st, 1996. And the first time I met him in person was June 29th or 30th of 97.
Mm-hmm.
When I picked him up at the airport when he was coming to Indianapolis. It was June 30th, actually, when he was coming to Indianapolis to do a performance. He was on his way. He had done a performance the weekend before in New York or somewhere in that area. I believe it was New York. And then he had one in Indianapolis the following weekend, and he thought, well, instead of flying all the way back to California and then all the way back out, he said, could I maybe crash with you one night?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you can crash with me as many nights as you want.
Right.
So he actually stayed with me 3 or 4 nights, and I said, while you're out here, you're going to be gone for a week. You're going to need to do a show, right? So I have a recording studio, so why don't we do a show in my studio? So he said, okay, that sounds good. So we did that, and all kinds of other stuff. He did a record signing. He did a talk at Indiana University, which is where I work,
Mm-hmm.
and some other events. I took him up to the Bob and Tom show on, I believe that was on Thursday, July 3rd, if I recall correctly.
Now, I have to ask, is your encyclopedic knowledge of dates just a natural thing that you have about everything, or is it only stuff related to Dr. Demento?
It's everything.
Yeah?
Yeah. It is. That's just the way my brain is organized chronologically, basically.
Yeah. That's so perfect.
Yeah, it is. It is, isn't it? I guess if I'm going to make a site with dates of broadcasts on it, I suppose that does work out well. I didn't really think of it that way. But yeah, I don't know. That's just the way I think. Also, apparently I have a thing called synesthesia, which is not a disease. It's a good thing, basically, but it's where numbers, it's not always numbers, I think, but for me, it's numbers are sometimes for people, they're like shapes or they're colors or
Mm-hmm.
they're music or something, like I think Stevie Wonder has this in that he hears music and he sees colors or something.
Right.
And so for me, when I think of numbers, I kind of see them geographically in a space, and and the same is true of a calendar. I mean, it's a geographic. I mean, it's a geometric object to me, I guess. So when I say, oh, June 30th, 1997, that's a point in space that I'm seeing. It's not just numbers. I think that is partially why I'm like that.
Why don't you just sing the words that you had for that, Dennis? I thought they were probably good.
Okay. It's quite difficult to sing and play.
It's a love song. It's very moving.
Are those the words then?
No, I'm just getting into it. I'll just start again.
Quiet. Oh.
I shall not be
Quiet. Be quiet.
It's very status quo.
Bad dreams are keeping me awake at night. Bad dreams, I think I'm gonna turn on the light. Bad dreams, wish that they go away. Bad dreams, here comes the beast again.
That's nice.
What?
Nightmare into me all night long. Nightmare into this.
Some words there, obviously.
I'll start again.
But I mean, you get to put it to this kind of great use because it's one of these underappreciated things. I've started like trying to meet as many comedy archivists as I can. There are not a lot of them out there because there are some, comics or other people who do stuff in comedy who don't necessarily see the need to archive their stuff. Some people just have a storage facility just sitting somewhere that's not necessarily sorted and organized. But then I meet people like yourself who I probably share the same thing that I do, whereas like if I see something that's disorganized and it's important, or at least I perceive it to be important, I have to organize it.
Yes. So, so I went out to every week now there are archive episodes of old Dr. Demento shows that get posted on his website.
Yeah.
So that I'm kind of the impetus for that because I went out there. I've been out there several times, but when I went out there in 2003, one of my main things that I wanted to do was take stock of what air checks he had. Because I had barely heard any of the live shows that he did on KM. And actually someone was offering to sell me a bunch of live shows, and normally I had just done tape trading before that, and I felt like, don't you want to just trade for things that I have? I don't want to pay a whole bunch of money for this. It feels wrong to me. Plus, I think he has this anyway. So I thought, well, let me find out exactly what he has, and whatever he doesn't have, I can buy.
Right.
Well, it was not nearly as organized as I had expected it would be, and there's a lot missing. And so there were several bankers' boxes full of cassettes with no apparent order to them. I don't really know. They must have been in some order at some point, and they were in a dresser or a chest of drawers or something at one house, and then he ended up pulling them out and throwing them in a box when he was moving, I think is what happened. It's something like that. And so I took all these boxes back to my hotel room and dumped them out all over the bed, all over the floor, and started putting things, sorting them by year, and then by month, and then by date, and marking off, here's what we have, and here's what we don't have, And so I still have those same sheets of paper from 2003 that I refer to when we're trying to come up with, people will request, well, I want to hear this show, and then I have to look up, well, do we have that or not, or just what haven't we posted? We've posted from this year, but we haven't posted from this month of this year, so maybe we want to do something from that month or something just to kind of get a variety.
Wow. I mean, this is the kind of stuff, like, again, it's the kind of, like, the minutia-filled part, but, I mean, it's got to be satisfying, it's got to be satisfying putting that stuff back together, especially for somebody, like, it always amazes me when somebody knows they need their stuff organized and just doesn't do it because it's not how they are. They're like, no, I'm going to make my stuff, I'll put it in this pile, eventually I'll find somebody to fix it for me.
Yeah, I don't know if that was what was in his mind,
sure.
or it was just, I'm sure a lot of it is just a time thing,
Absolutely.
I mean, I've got a lot of disorganized stuff around my house that I know how to organize it, but, geez, it's just not the priority right now. So there was no priority in 2003 and before. He had no reason to need to organize those KMET air checks. What was he going to use them for? And it was the rare occasion where he would use an excerpt of an interview on a retrospective show.
Sure, okay. That makes sense.
But in general, he had no immediate use for them. He didn't want to get rid of them, but there was no streaming on the web or anything for his show at that time, or not from his site, let's say.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a project that he was interested in. So I had a reason to want to do that, and then it was several years down the road where he started putting episodes on his site, and originally it was just the syndicated episodes, and I kind of encouraged, I was like, we could put some of these KMET shows on there as well. It would take some work to edit them together, but I think people would enjoy it, and I think people really enjoy it, actually. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, did you have a love of comedy that drew you to him, or did he kind of blow up your world of comedy, or was it kind of a combination of both?
Okay. Well, if you want the whole history of that, I guess. I liked comedy. I liked Weird Al, but I first heard Weird Al, I think, May 18th of 1984, if I remember correctly, which was Eat It, on a school bus returning from a camping trip. And the whole time we were on the trip, people had been telling me about this song.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I was excited to actually hear it on the way back. And so I did like Weird Al. I didn't collect records. I just had, kiddie records that everybody would have, Bugs Bunny or whatever. But I didn't buy or collect records at that time.
Sure.
And I didn't go listen to his albums or anything. I just occasionally heard Weird Al on the radio or something. My dad was, or is, a fan of Spike Jones and Stan Freberg, and he had some records of them. And in 85 or 86, we actually figured out recently which year it was, and now I've forgotten. But I think it was 85. But anyway, one of those years, he bought the Dr. Demento Presents the Greatest Novelty Records of All Time, Volume 6 Christmas album. All right, neither of us had ever heard of Dr. Demento, but it had several tracks on it, like I Used to Go Nuts at Christmas, and some Stan Freberg tracks, and so forth, that he knew and he thought were great, so he wanted to have that, and he wanted us to listen to it, which we did, and we thought it was great. And Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer was on there, which at that time was a recent hit. I mean, it was only a year or two old. The hit version of it was only a year or two old by the time we got that, and I was kind of floored that we had that current of a record in our house because all of their records are like old 50s and 60s LPs, So anyway, I knew of this Dr. Demento. I believe it was 86 now that I think about it, but I knew of this Dr. Demento just from that, and I must have read the liner notes to know that there was a radio show, but I didn't search it out. And I stumbled on it August 9th of 87 while I was trying to do my homework. It was on one of the top 40 stations there, and I was just hooked from that point on. So, I liked comedy, but it's not like I was a comedy record fanatic or anything before that.
God, that's crazy. I'm just very quickly, I was just scanning through dmdb.org and looking at...
That's a great site.
It absolutely is. But just this quick page, it's got a few things just from your own life, including a photo of your great uncle playing with Spike Jones. Holy cow.
Oh, yes, there is that. Yes, actually, he just had his 100th birthday last month.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. Holy cow.
Exactly. That's 1951. That's a cool photo. That photo was there at the 100th birthday party. Actually, they had that on display.
That's so good.
So yeah, that was just he was in the house band for WHAS, which is a station in Louisville, still around, AM 840. But they were pretty much a powerhouse station at that time. I think they had one of the strongest signals, and I think they could reach to Texas or something, back in the 40s and 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they probably still do, I guess. I don't.
I would imagine,
know,
yeah.
So he was in the house band, and Spike, I think Spike actually stopped by there 3 times, and thanks to Ted Herring, who's a big Spike Jones collector, we were able to figure out which of the 3 appearances that picture was from, because something in the background that says, I think, Ladies' Day or something like that, which cinched which one it was.
That's great. Man, and so why, of all the stuff you've heard over the years through Dr. Demento, why does Bad News still sort of stick out to you?
Yeah, exactly. Good question. Because he's only played them one time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he's only played them one time, and one of their least funny tracks is the one that he played, right? So I think I mentioned earlier, it's one of very few records that I think absolutely every time, I'm pretty sure every time I've heard it, I laugh. And the other record, the OK Laughing record, I think is in that category. I'm pretty sure I've never heard that without laughing.
Okay.
And possibly the Old Payola Roll Blues by Stan Freberg, where he says, something wrong. I don't, you don't have a Teenage Idol. Oh, wait here, I'll get one. They're a dime a dozen. Yeah, I'll just walk out and get one. I'll be right back. So it just is hilarious to me, and the way they bicker back and forth, I guess, and just all the little. Sometimes you just say, I listen to it in headphones most of the time, and you hear all these little asides that they make, and it just struck me as hilarious when I first got it, and it's been with me ever since. I think I got it in late '89 or early '90, not very long after I heard it on the show, and it probably wasn't in print for very long, actually.
Sure.
The Rhino version.
Yeah. Do you want to go down the? I don't know if you. I know you said you had some notes. Did you want to talk about this track by track? Some people are cool with that. Some people, not necessarily. But we could.
Well, I made notes track by track.
Let's do it. Let's start. Okay, so let's start out with number 1, and we're going off the LP, right? So I'm not going. I will ignore these ones that it says are CD only because you only sent me the LP ones.
Yeah, I didn't send you those purposely because I wanted
you
to just have the LP. There's just 2 CD bonus tracks there.
Yeah. So this is just to clarify, this is a mix then of probably the bootleg and the other release. And like the bootleg stuff. So it starts off with a rehearsal, quote unquote, called Bad Dreams Rehearsal. It's a 5-minute track.
Right. And there's also, and Cashing In on Christmas wasn't on either of those albums. I think that's a single only track that they added on here.
Okay.
And there may be other sources for this because the album says the first 2 tracks are produced by somebody else. So I'm not positive if they were from something else.
Interesting.
I don't know where everything comes from, and I wish I did.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, it starts off with Bad Dreams Rehearsal, and there's never a non-rehearsal of Bad Dreams. There's never like a full run-through of this Bad Dreams. It's apparently a song that he's just working on, and it's just inept songwriting and inept performance, and instantly they're bickering with each other and just making fun of each other about this horrible song, and they're putting a lot of work on this. First, one of the things is Colin had to scream, and he wants everybody to hear this particular scream, and so they keep going over it again and again and again until he can get the scream right. So they're putting all this work into something that's so minor, and then when you finally hear the scream, it's really bad. I mean, it's not frightening or anything. They think of themselves as this metal band that's like all about dark subjects or whatever, but then throughout the album there's so much reality hitting them, which we'll get to on the next track, I guess, but it's so backwards to what you would perceive of a metal band to be about, I guess.
Yeah, they get kind of caught up appropriately enough on the hook, and then like I do really like listening to them improvising together, sound like trying to sound out. Oh yeah, I can sing along with this, and then getting the words wrong. It's like that little kind of stuff is, it's priceless.
Yeah, and there is, and I just bought this album not knowing anything about these guys except that one song, and then I'm listening to all these different voices and trying to figure out who's who. And it took me a while because there's occasions on the album where one of them will imitate one of the others, so then I get confused as to who's who. I know who's who now, but it took me several listens to figure it out. And then on this one, I think it's on this track, he actually refers to Vim Fuego as Alan one time, which is his real name. and maybe he corrects him or something, but anyway.
And then we got track 2, which is just entitled AGM.
Yeah, AGM, which is not a term that I've ever heard elsewhere, but my assumption is that it stands for All Group Meeting.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense.
So they're having a meeting. So first of all, that's funny enough, I guess, to start with. Just that a metal band has got to. You just think that they're just together and they just play and they just do whatever, but they're having this formal meeting and that they're calling to order and they're like trying to follow Robert's rules of order or whatever, and it's then one of them says, well, why are we having these meetings every week? I thought it was just supposed to be annual. And another one says, I thought it was every day. It's like, nobody knows what's going on.
It's very Young Ones of them, actually. It kind of makes me think of when they would have like a house meeting on the Young Ones too.
Okay, see, I have only seen a few minutes of the Young Ones. I really don't know the Young Ones, and I really should get into that because I know all these people, or at least some of these people, were on the Young Ones. I'm sure I would love it. So that's okay. That's interesting that they used that again.
Yeah, kind of. It's at least similar. Just like this bunch of friggin' misfits trying to actually organize stuff, just under but under this guise of like, oh, we're really gonna take care of some shit, but they're just totally inept.
Okay. Yes, that's very much what this is. Yes. Okay. I'm glad to know that. Then they have the one of them farts, and then they say, open a window. Oh, when we're in a windowless void. Some of it's just how they will phrase things. Like in maybe a somewhat elitist manner, hoity-toity kind of phrasing for something that is very juvenile or something.
Right.
That they will say, and then the interesting thing so Monty Python fans will remember the Crunchy Frog bit, right?
Yep.
And the title of that and what it's a play. The title of that on the original album is Trade Description Act, and that's apparently a real law in Britain, or at least was at the time. And I've not really looked at the exact details, but what I gather from these comedy bits is that it basically says that whatever you're calling your business or your product has to accurately reflect what it is.
Okay, sure.
And can't just be some name that misleads the public.
Sure, makes sense.
And so they talk about that here because they're trying to title the album, and one of them wants to call it "Satan Ate My Knob," which, first of all, which is a British slang for penis, I think, but I didn't. It took me a lot of listens to this to figure out what all these slang terms were. It's all foreign to me. And they said, well, because of the Trade Description Act, you can't say it because Satan has not actually eaten your knob.
That's right.
So it's the same thing that they're playing off of in the Monty Python sketch. And then they say, well, then what about Satan ate my head? Then it's not obscene. He's like, well, still, he hasn't eaten your head, so you can't do that. You can't call it that. But then what confuses me a little bit, so then they mention a Black Sabbath album or what they thought was a Black Sabbath. They call them the Sabs, which is funny. But then they're trying to think of, well, what are good titles that other bands have had, and they come up with Slippery When Wet. Well, that's a Bon Jovi album that I think came out in '87. I could look it up, but it's around.
Yeah, it was a lot after this.
I thought that this original thing was '83, but then the bootleg was 87, but supposedly of the 83 recording sessions. So then if that's the case, that doesn't fit at all. But, I don't know what the exact chronology of all this is. So.
Yeah, that's funny.
Anyway, and they do mention Brian in that track as well, Brian May.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyway.
Then we've got introducing the band.
Yeah, so, that's one where Den, who is the rhythm guitarist, is filling in for Spider Webb, the drummer, because Spider's not there. So that was one of the places where I got confused on, wait a minute, which voice is which here? And then I finally realized, okay, I see, he's just imitating him and making fun of him. And they're all making fun of each other and imitating each other.
Mm-hmm.
One of the I think it's Vim who plays this really long guitar piece, and he says, "I let my guitar speak for me," and then someone in the background says, "That's because you're incoherent most of the time."
I like that premise of the idea that, hey, we're pretending to be somebody else, as though like you're familiar enough with the characters that you would know somebody's imitating. Like they're fully aware that they're not, like obviously we're not a real band, but the idea that
right.
like the premise, the conceit is, oh, everybody knows who these guys are, so they can mess around and you'll know that they're imitating and you'll be in on the joke. And I just like that there's that kind of meta level to it where no, you're just confused. And I think that's intentional. I kind of like that.
Hello, my name's Colin Grigson. I play bass guitar for Bad News. My favorite color's blue and my favorite kind of music is heavy metal music.
Hello, my name is Dan Dennis. I played the rhythm guitar in Bad News. My favourite food is curry because it's open late at night.
My name is Vim Fuego. Guitar speak for me. That's because you're incoherent most of the time.
Hello, my name is Spider Webb. I am the drummer in Bad News. Do I have to do this just because he didn't turn up?
Yes, just say that you can't play the drums and you're a complete toss face.
I can't play the drums and I'm a complete toss face.
Well, that part, I don't know how well known they were in Britain. I think they had actually played a show, and I think, they might have been known a little bit.
Yeah, right.
By the time that second bootleg album came out. I mean, they had to have been known somewhat off of the first EP in order to even bother making that
exactly,
bootleg album.
Right.
So, but I don't know exactly how known they were. Or are.
Sure. And the next one is Bad News, which is the first actual.
It is the self-titled track, and that's an actual song for once. We finally, after 3 tracks of just kind of messing around, the album finally hits, a real song. And then the best part of that is everybody does an instrumental break, which are all inept,
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to the lead guitar break. Oh, it's great. Well, it's great because it's lifted from a Led Zeppelin record. It's just the exact recording.
That is
off
brilliant.
of there. So.
And am I wrong in that one of them has to be reminded to do his solo, like screamed at to do?
Oh yeah, that's right too. Yeah, I forget which way. It might have been the bass player or something. He's like, or maybe it's. I think it's the rhythm guitar. He's thinking, Den, yeah, it's your break,
And then the next two are both. I mean, they're both. One's called "Hey, Mr. Bassman" and "Hey, Mr. Drummer."
Yeah, and I don't know for sure if all of these titles on here match the titles on the original British releases or not.
Oh, okay.
I think some of these might have been cut up from other tracks. I'm not 100% sure. I would love to have everything that they've ever put out and know this whole chronology.
Yeah.
And there might be a Wikipedia article out there that will explain it to me, but I haven't gone through it. So, but Hey, Mr. Bassman is another example of inept playing. But then you find out there's further pretending going on because Dennis accidentally says that he's 38, and then he's like, oh, no, I mean 17. Like they're trying to be this young metal band, but they're actually these aging wannabe pop stars or whatever. And that's also where I learned the British slang of nappy, which is
right.
a diaper, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I had to listen to that several times to finally understand what that was about. Because I think that's the one where he's saying every time I sing "Eat My Brain," my rectum seems to prolapse. What the heck? You know?
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, and then "Hey, Mr. Drummer," that's one of my favorite parts. So Colin, the bass player, is trying to do this bass run. So it's like an overdub session where they're adding bass onto a track. And he says, it's supposed to go bang bang, and he says, I went like a few. He says, the first time I went Rumpty Dumpty. Now, how do you play a bass that goes Rumpty Dumpty? I don't know. But then other than that, I went like a fury. You know. And then he gets frustrated. He's like, we've been through this 1.5 times. As if it's, hours on end.
God, if this stuff is improv, like that's just gold. And I wish I knew more, I wish I knew more about I pride myself on knowing and loving a lot of English comedy, but this is a period where I'm just totally out of the loop.
Yeah. And I assume all these guys are still around, and they've probably done a lot of other stuff. And I don't know if somebody must have interviewed them at some point about this, because to me this is just so hilarious. I'd love to talk to these guys and understand how this all came about.
I know. The only one who's Rick Mayall passed away very young, like I think last year. But the rest of them are all still around and doing stuff. But yeah, I don't remember what it was from, but it was really, he's the only 56 or something, so super young. But the rest of them are all still around and directing and acting and stuff, but they're, I would, after listening to this, I want to know more about the history of it, because it was done for, I guess we didn't mention this, but it was originally done for Comic Strip Presents. Over in England, which is launched a lot of stuff.
I have heard that, and I had totally forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's launched not just a lot of stars, but a lot of like projects, a lot of characters. Because over there, man, like you can create a character in one venue and bring it to another TV show. It's a very different environment for comedy over there.
Yeah, and on the inside of the gatefold, there is Vim has a shirt that talks about Bad News performing at the Hammersmith November 9th of 1986. Mm-hmm. So I think that was an actual show. I think they did at least one actual show. I think there's one live recording on here. I don't know if it's really live, though. It might have just been fake, but I think they did do at least one live performance out of this.
That's awesome. Ah, man, that and that was the other thing too. I guess I didn't even think about. Oh, they're probably, if that happened, they're probably all at least competently playing their instruments, because I haven't seen the video footage, so I don't know, how if they're comparable to like how well the guys in Spinal Tap can play, but I have to assume so.
Right, that is a good question. It is my assumption that they are the ones playing the instruments on here, because there are no credits saying otherwise. But I don't know that for a fact.
Yeah.
A lot of comedians are, frustrated musicians on the side or whatever.
Right, exactly.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, no, I was already going to skip to the next track. But what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I don't know if you've heard the Dr. Demento interview with the guys from Spinal Tap when that was coming out, but they did talk about them playing an actual show and not telling anybody who they were, just dressed up in their metal gear and just seeing if they could pull it off.
Yeah.
And they did, so.
That's so good. The next one, like this is one of my favorite titles of a song ever, and that title is Master Bike.
Master Bike, yeah. And there's actually on the ends on the lyric insert here, there's a picture of the Master Bike.
No.
So you may want to look up. It's just a little drawing, but it's obviously a penis-shaped bike with him riding on the penis. It looks like it's a 3-wheeled bike, but
Holy shit.
much longer than it is wide. So, and that's another actual song, and it's it's just like nothing. It's just throwaway kind of lyrics. Well, it has I think "Eat My Brain" is in there. "Eat my brain, go insane," and just them trying to present themselves as seriously metal,
Yeah.
So it's I don't find the songs as hilarious as the spoken bits. So it's not a song that I would just play to rock out to or whatever, or to laugh. I just hear it in the context of the album myself. But it's a funny title, but to me it's not a absolutely hilarious song or anything.
Right. It's one of those things where I feel like if you do these songs that aren't necessarily super crazy, over the top funny, that's the thing that lends this reality to your insane improv comedy shit in between it,
Yes. Because this is what they're working on. They're trying to cut. They think that they're working on these, supreme best metal, whatever. Like they're going to be Def Leppard or whatever, and they're going to spend months in the studio working up these perfect things. And here's what you come out with is Master Bike. In their minds, that is, in their characters' minds, that is, just a great metal track that everybody's going to love. When you look at the front cover of the album, you see these metal-looking guys, kind of outrageous 80s metal-looking band or whatever. You see them from the waist up. Mm-hmm. Now you open the gatefold to see the back cover and the front cover together, and at the bottom, their trousers are down, and each of them has a different fruit, or in Colin's case, what appears to be TNT or dynamite or something, strapped to their leg. So this track, they're talking about that. They're just talking about, well, what do you use? So it's like they all talk about it as if this is just a normal thing that everyone does, or every metal band would do, is to add things to their trousers to make the women think that their penises are larger than they are. So, I just stuff some socks in there. I use a cucumber. Oh, do you? I use broccoli or whatever. And they're just having this conversation. First of all, you'd think they would have known this anyway. Mm-hmm. If they've been around each other long enough, they probably would have known. So this is the first time. I was 17 when I bought this album. And I didn't know that there was any sort of a thing about men's penis sizes. This is my first hint that I didn't know that women would care about how big a man's penis is. And so they're explicitly trying to make people think that it's bigger than it is. But also on this track, unrelated to the Trousers, there's this whole discussion about overdubbing the bass. So Colin's the bass player, but one of the others, I've forgotten whether it was Den or Vim. I want to say it was Vim, but I'd have to listen again to remember. But one of them has gone back and replaced his bass track with his own playing. And so so Colin is saying, well, I feel bad about that. You're making me feel bad about that. And what would you inside feel, if someone had overdubbed your guitar part? And he's like, well, I'd feel, oh fuck, I have to go do it again because Colin's overdubbed my guitar and messed it up. Whereas his point is he's made it better by doing that. Well, yeah, he said, what would you think if I overdub your guitar? He said, well, it's obvious we'd all think it was crap, because he can't play the guitar. And he said, well, I only had about 20 takes at it. And the other one says, yeah, per day. He's like, yeah, well, if I kept going, I would have gotten it. And so I don't know if you know this, but I also have a recording studio. So I'm also a recording engineer. So I have had a guy do over the course of 2 days over 20 takes a day on a guitar solo.
Oh my God!
So I do know what that's about. But also I did have a recording session in it was either late '94 or early '95 where the producer overdubbed. I think it was the bass actually. It was either the bass or the guitar. After the musician who played it had left or had gone on a break or something. He's like, he's not doing it right. I'm going to fix it,
Wow.
And I don't know if the guy ever knew for sure whether that had happened or not. But it's like, but I know all about this, funny enough. And but there's times that I have been in sessions and I've wanted to have sound bites from this album available because I want to throw them in. Because on Hey Mr. Drummer, there's a thing where. I think Vim says to Colin, that really fucking moronic bass line that you do, which is insulting enough. And Colin says, which one? Which moronic bass line?
That's brilliant.
And I just want to drop that in sometimes. So anyway. And that's the end of side one on the LP version.
Is there any kind of transition to the other side, or no?
Yeah, sure.
No, I mean on the actual record, is there any transition, or is it just cut?
Oh, I'm sorry. No. Just that track kind of runs out with some talking, and then side two starts off with an actual song, "Drink Till I Die." It's another one of the actual songs that I think was on that original 6-track EP in England, and so. But then that segs into some more discussion to where Colin doesn't. He's complaining about how non-productive they are, like how many hours we've been in the studio and we've not gotten anything accomplished, And he says, something about it. We've been here since 8 in the morning, and now it's 2 in the afternoon. And somebody's like, no, it's 2 in the morning actually the next day. And Den says, I keep maintaining that we would do better if we were to plug the guitars in and play them. Maybe we would get something accomplished.
They really pull off some of the goofiest stuff too, just with they're very. There's just something magnetic about listening to the way these guys talk too.
It is to me. I just die laughing with it.
The next track after that one was called Vim is Angry. The next one's called Hey Hey Bad News.
Yeah. Vim is Angry is more argument and cussing going on. Same thing. Hey Hey Bad News is another actual song. That's the one that it's apparently live. They want you to think it's live.
Okay.
I'm sure that it's at least partially studio. And I had to listen to it several times before I figured out what. So they have a crowd that they. So the chorus is "Hey, hey, bad news," and they want the crowd to respond, "Hey, hey, bad news," but the crowd responds, "Fuck off, bad news," because they don't like them, And being that it's a lot of people saying it at once, sometimes it's hard to tell what a crowd is chanting. It took me several listens to figure out what they were actually doing. I doubt that is the actual live performance that they did.
Right.
But that's a take on that. So.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
The next one's called Warriors of Genghis Khan.
Warriors of Genghis Khan. So that's another actual song and another very metal thing that they would think of doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole thing. So the lyric insert that comes with the album of the 6 songs are written out by Vim, who also puts the credits. Like here he says, written, composed, arranged by, sitar break by, played almost everything on by Vim Fuega. He wants to assert that he is that guy, the main guy in it. But then over to the side, somebody wrote, Colin, I guess. Colin wrote fantastic lyrics, Vim, and you just feel the sarcasm in what he's saying here about the lyrics of the song. And so Vim writes this whole diatribe. Oh, thanks for the constructive criticism, Colin. It may interest you to know that during one of my many encounters with the world beyond the grave, I showed the song to John Lennon, and he said that it was better than anything he'd ever written. And Elvis Presley was really keen to sing it, and Jimi Hendrix just said, "Set fire to your guitar, Vim," as usual. So this whole lyric sheet is a whole other experience beyond the album, where there's still bantering back and forth, about everything. Just more of the same, I guess.
Yeah, that is one thing that I find, like, I love the resurgence of vinyl comedy, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of, like, I know it costs a lot more to do that now, but, like, not as much interactive stuff. And again, it's probably just cost. But, even just like you said, like just a lyric sheet or even like a pullout, because a lot of my favorite albums have like a pullout, or, Monty Python's Instant Record Collection is probably the standout of them all, that turns into a cube of fake records, like. Yeah,
that's a cool one.
Yeah,
there's lots of stuff like that, mostly from the 70s, I would say.
Sure.
Probably when that hit its peak. And it had to cost more to do that, even in the 70s.
Sure.
But, now it would cost even more because there's a lower print run. So, when you go on a the more you make of something, the cheaper it is to do it, right? So. Right,
exactly. I think that's one of those things, too, where it's funny. I've got a Google News alert that's for comedy albums, that's for vinyl, that's for, just to see. And what's great is every single day there's some local paper announcing the comeback of vinyl, and there has been since I've had that Google News alert, just because people are just becoming aware of it in certain parts of the country. But it is interesting. Like, yes, they're making more money than they've made in like decades, but I would imagine per artist they're still probably struggling to break even on those.
Yeah, I don't know, all the economics behind it. I know I've been surprised to see some recent stand-up comedy on vinyl.
Yeah.
And even for reasonable prices sometimes. I know, George Lopez had an album a few years ago that was only $10, which... That's crazy. In the 80s would be slightly expensive, I guess, for an LP, but these days is darn cheap for an LP.
That's great. Yeah, I know that every once in a while... boy, oh boy, my brain just totally stopped. I know that Stand Up Records does it, and they'll re-release some stuff on vinyl. Then there's a special thing, and they'll do special releases on vinyl. But again, it's not $10. That's crazy cheap.
Yeah.
So our next track is Bohemian Rhapsody, which, my God, I love Queen so much, and I love them more knowing that this was produced. This garbage take on Bohemian Rhapsody is produced by Brian May. It's so brilliant.
Yes, and it's they're trying to do a fairly straight cover in their estimation,
right?
In their minds, I guess. It's pretty messed up, and there is a video to go with it as well. And then at the end, Vim, I think it is, mumbles in the background, one of them says it was great or something, and one of them says, "Yeah, blow Queen off the fucking stage." Although in the video he just says "blow Queen off the stage." Of course, they edited that out.
Sure. That's hilarious.
But
And then next and I wish I'd actually heard Cashing In on Christmas, because that's the next track, and it's the thing that got you, at the very least, curious about them.
Right. And so there's nothing nasty about that track or anything, because that was an actual single that they made for radio play, and so it doesn't have any obscenities on it, unlike almost every other track on the album. And it's just a catchy little pop song. But I guess what got me about it was, at that time, in 1989, I wasn't aware, at least, of that many cynical Christmas songs. I mean, there's Tom Lehrer's The Christmas Carol from the 50s, of course, and there's several others. And, of course, I'd heard some on Dr. Demento. And, of course, there's lots of funny Christmas songs, but ones that actually looked more cynically at it. So their whole thing is, buy our single so that we make a lot of money. And then our Christmas will be great. And they even have in there's a break where there's like a little girl that they have on there, and she says, "I really want Bad News' Christmas single for my Christmas stocking. It only costs just over £1, making a plea to parents to just buy the single,
That's so good.
And then Colin, I think, comes on and says, well, we hope you enjoy your Christmas. So we're going to be off in Jamaica or wherever it is, spending your money, but I hope you have a good time. Merry Christmas, So I guess that's what got me about it. It just seemed a little beyond other things that I'd heard, and it was a catchy enough song.
Sure.
And I forget, I should have listened to that show. I should have listened to that episode to see what he said about them. He must have given a little bit of background on them. And I should re-listen to that just to see if he said anything in particular that grabbed me more than just the song that made me want to go buy the record.
Yeah, I'd love to know, and if there's a clip available, it'd be kind of great to hear, because that would be really fascinating.
Yeah. Well, okay, I can do that. Let me make a note here.
That'd be awesome.
8948. Yeah. Because it is a record on Rhino, and there's a lot of comedy stuff on Rhino, and
sure.
I later became a Rhino collector, to where I have almost every record that Rhino's ever put out, almost every LP, not every CD, but almost every LP, 45, any sort of vinyl release.
That's crazy.
As far as from their original run in the 70s and 80s, I think I'm only missing about half a dozen or so.
Wow.
But I didn't buy this for that reason, because this was before I got into that. But I was happy to have it, because I don't think it's one that you see very often.
Mama, I just killed a man. I put a gun up to his head. I pulled the trigger. Now he's dead. Mama, life had just begun, but now I've got to throw it away. Mama, I don't want to die. I sometimes wish I'd never been born at all.
I can, at least from my experience, I've never once seen it, and if I had, it would have reminded me that I knew it existed, but I only knew it just from like I said, just spare research here and there when I was reading something about the Ruddles or about Spinal Tap.
Right. And I ran across the CD. I bought it on LP at the time. I had just gotten a CD player, actually, and I was not buying very many CDs. But then I ran across a CD. I believe it was in April of '95 at a used record store around the corner of Haight and Ashbury in San Francisco, of all places. And so then it was only at that point, I think, that I realized that the CD even had bonus tracks. So I was like, oh, geez, I got to buy this for sure, So
Yeah.
that right up. And I'm not sure if I've ever seen the CD again, actually. Not that I've looked for it because I
Sure.
always have it, but generally I would have run into it. You would say. I mean, I think I would remember if I'd run into it.
Right. I mean, that being that important of an album, that's what's interesting about this to me, though, is that it does start with an interesting track, but not necessarily even your favorite at all. But that little curiosity bloomed into, oh nope, this is like, not only is it's like it's your favorite, it holds up, but like it does perfectly symbolize like the beginning of this different part of your life, and that's kind of awesome to have that. I mean, you're very good at keeping track of things, but to also like you still have this one album that is still set aside as this marker for you, and that's really awesome. Because I can never remember what my first comedy album was. I can sort of guess, but I think it was a Billy Connolly album. But like, like I trust your memory to the point where I think, yeah, no, this is absolutely, this is the first. It's so great because like I'm listening to you say things where you're like, well, Dr. Demento's never played this before. And normally my question would be like, well, how do you know that? But I'm like, no, this guy knows 100%. He's only played the song once, and it's reassuring. Okay, so we got.
I did check that before, and actually, this is not the first comedy record I bought, but this is, if you want to know, this is LP number 30 in my collection.
Yeah,
because I actually have a list in the order I bought them.
That's amazing. Oh, my God.
Of everything I have, and that's counting the 6 records in the Dr. Demento 6 LP set as 6 records, but it's counting that show of 89-53, which was the Funny 25 of that year, as just one. So actually, that tells me that this was early 1990 when I got it, because it's several after that. But most of what I have before that, I have Weird Al, Dr. Demento, Alan Sherman, Stan Freberg. Actually, that Stan Freberg that's actually my dad's, so maybe this should count as number 29. Tom Lehrer, definitely, and Monty Python.
This is like that scene in High Fidelity where he's organizing everything
exactly,
autographically. That sounds comforting. Yeah, like that's one of my favorite bits in that whole movie.
Yeah, where he starts organizing his records in that order, right? In the order he bought them, right?
Yeah. But I have to know that I got it in the summer of blah 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 pile, and like it's all autobiographical, which would be chronological, but it's really it's hilarious. But
yes, and it's not important to anyone but him.
Yeah, right.
And it's the same way with this, but I have what I call a database, but it's really just a text file that lists every record I have, and it's in the order I bought them. And that doesn't make sense to anybody else but me, but I will refer to that, and I'm like, okay, when did I get that? Okay, yeah, it was between that and that. Okay, yeah, and it means something to me. And and I did used to, when I first started collecting records, I used to store them in that same order. But once I got past a few dozen or so, I was like, I need to alphabetize these,
Yeah, that becomes the problem. I'm fully aware of that issue.
I have several large stacks of unfiled records that are still more or less in the order I got them, because I haven't gotten around to filing them, and I can still mostly find things. I can refer to this file, and I say, okay, well, that's going to be close to this record. If I know where that record is, I can find this record. So
that's so funny. We have one track left on this album, and that is Dividing Up the Spoils.
Yes, Dividing Up the Spoils is just a discussion that they have at the end about their contracts and about the money. So there's I think they got $3,000 for making the album, or it was, they said. And he's like, $3,000, or 3,000 pounds, I guess it would have been.
Sure.
At $3,000, you've got $3,000, so and then they're deciding how to split that up, and so of course Vim thinks he gets most because he's the lead guitarist and everything, and then of course they mention this guy Sharky, who I never hear of anywhere else, so I assume that's their manager, and he's a shark, I assume that's what that means, and Sharky gets so much of it, and they end up with like just a few pounds each or something, and one of them, I think it's Colin or Spider, I think it's Colin, that he's like, well, you've been taking a taxi home from the studio every night because you think you're a rock star, so that comes out of yours. And then Dennis, he says, you've seen the money. Like, what did it look like? Because like we've been doing all this, I have not seen any money.
God, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like it's this It's one thing that you don't get on the Spinal Tap album as much as I love that. Like, it would be very cool on the Spinal Tap album to have the same sort of interstitial stuff. That's the best stuff of the movie. Like, the songs are great. But to be fair, though, the Spinal Tap songs are funnier. They're just meant to, they are more of the overtop thing where, like I said, this is lent that reality by those really just crazy songs of a bad band who thinks that their $3,000 is their big payday. I really love that. That's how they wrap the whole thing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And
absolutely brilliant.
I guess the other thing I would say about the album is, for me at least, I find it to be a very quotable album.
Sure.
You know, so many things on here are just so hilarious to me, and I think I probably occasionally use them with people, but they have no idea what I'm referring to.
Right.
But more often they probably just run through my head, you know, as something like, that would be a perfect thing to say in this situation or something, you know.
I wish, man, I have to, I'm jealous of your retention because I remember, you know, that was a thing I could do in high school better than I can now is pull up my favorite quotes from something because that's all I did. But like, you know.
Yeah.
That was kind of my life. That's why I love Cheech and Chong because I made best friends over that, and Weird Al, of course. But Weird Al, it's music, so you're going to remember it a little easier. But it is awesome to kind of have a catalog in your head of your favorite bits off of your favorite album. That's just kind of, you know.
There's a lot of, you know, quotable Monty Python sketches, of
Sure.
course. Like my roommate and I would do certain things. Of course, well, like It's Only a Flesh Wound is one of the more popular ones.
Of course, yeah.
More obscure ones like the self-defense bit on the first album, which, you know, is in one of the TV shows about what if a guy comes at you with a pointed stick? Like, he's going to train you, here's what to do if a guy comes at you with a banana. Here's what he's like, what about pointed sticks? We would do that sometimes.
Oh, God, I love that. Oh, that sketch is so good. You know what's so funny is I own that album, and I know all the sketches on it, but I've never listened to that album because I assumed I knew all the sketches, and nobody's ever requested to do it on the podcast, so I haven't taken the time to listen to it. Yeah, it's so funny because it's their first, and is it now? I'll just ask you real quick: are they ripped directly from the show, or are they recreated for the album?
I debate that. I am pretty sure that they are recreated for the album,
Okay.
But I thought I had heard some people say that they were taken from the show, and I've never played them back to back, but I mean, I've heard the album enough times that when I do I've heard the album more times than I've seen the show.
Sure.
And when I see the show, I feel like it's a different performance. So I think it's different.
Okay, that's interesting.
But, you know, it was done for BBC Records, and for the longest time, that album was hard to find on CD, at least. I mean, it came out in '87, but then it went away, and it's only been the past few years that I actually got a copy of that on CD myself.
Mm-hmm.
And but I think that the most recent box set of all their albums actually includes that one now.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Most of their albums were on Charisma or Arista over here, and but just not on BBC. So I guess they just didn't have the license to that one.
Okay, that makes
sense.
Or
whatever. But I don't think that there is anything, or not anything substantial on that album that is not in the TV show. Whereas most of the rest of the albums have some things that are not from the TV show.
Sure.
I mean, that one I think has a little bit, maybe at the beginning of side 2, about it talks about the album being stereo, which it's not. It's mono. But like he's like, here I am in this speaker, and then he walks to the other speaker, and you can't hear him because there is no other speaker. And so I assume that that's part of the joke, or it was, but they only ever released it in mono. I don't know.
That's a good point.
Because if they were recording it specially for records in 1970, you would think that they would have recorded it in stereo. So that lends credence to it being just taken off the TV soundtrack, which of course would have been mono. But
sure,
I don't think that it is. Well, there's definitely that part is definitely not off the TV soundtrack. So I don't think it is. So there's another little on the lyric sheet at the side. You know, I guess this is. I don't know if this is supposed to be their original ad or if this is one of them asking for others, but it says wanted singer, bass player, lead guitarist, and drummer who can all write songs, and there's misspellings in here, by the way, and have own equipment, own van, and own record deal to join rhythm guitarists. Already world-famous band preferred.
That's friggin' brilliant. Oh,
I don't know if that's
God.
Den saying that, well, he's looking for another band or what exactly that's supposed to be. And there's another thing on here, tour expenses so far. Fags, £5.40, of course, cigarettes, Stamps, 9p, so 9 pence, just a few pennies on one stamp, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Petrol, which is gasoline, right? 14.24, and Collins' watch. So apparently they had to fuel up, and they didn't have enough money, so he had to trade in his watch credit towards that. And then lager, 1,362 and 79.
I love it.
And so then there's a suggestion at the bottom, maybe we should economize by not writing so many letters home, which is, of course, the cheapest expense on there. They're not going to dispense with the lager, the beer, They can't economize there.
Oh, that's brilliant. It's one of those things where I obviously this is more than recommended for people to give a listen, especially if you're not English and you've never heard of it. But we do have a lot of listeners in England, and it would be really cool to get their perspective, to just say, I know about this bit of history, So I would hope you guys can write in to jason@comedyonvinyl.com or jason@stolendress.com, whatever you want. Just write to me, because I'm happy to read your emails, even when they're mildly derisive, which every once in a while will happen. But, we have a bunch, I affectionately refer to my listeners as nerds because I'm a nerd, and that's what we are. This is what we do. This is our, so I'm absolutely fine with people picking it apart, especially if you can give us some new information. It would be good to know a bit more about the history of bad news. So
I'd love to hear that too. Yeah, that would be great. And then probably the English listeners will be upset that we reviewed the American album. It'd be like reviewing Meet the Beatles instead of With the Beatles.
Right.
Because chopped up, and not the original way that it was intended. But it's the way that I came to know it. So.
Exactly. Do you have anything that you would like to promote for yourself, for Dr. Demento? Anything interesting coming up?
Oh, well, I just my website dmdb.org is the Demento Music Database, so that has all the playlists of Dr. Demento syndicated shows going all the way back to the beginning in 1974, and it also has a substantial number, not yet complete. It probably never will be 100% complete, but hopefully one day it will be 90-something% complete of live shows that he used to do in L.A. and other places.
Well, thank you so much for doing the show. This has been awesome.
Oh, well, thanks for inviting me, and hopefully we'll talk again.
Absolutely.
We talked about possibly doing How to Speak Hip.
Yes, yeah, we need to do that. And I've been wanting to talk about it. My buddy Taylor could also do it, because he remastered it once and did a beautiful job, because it was at that point when he did it, it was almost impossible to get a good version of it. So you guys, you can listen to Dr. Demento at drdemento.com. Go visit the database, dmdb.org, and then you can check out my second book, Postmodem, The Interwebs Explained, at postmodembook.com. It's a comedic history of the internet. It's a lot of fun, and I'd like to know what you guys think. So thank you for joining me, Jeff. Thank you guys for listening, and as always, have a good thing. Comedy on Vinyl is a production of Stolen Dress Entertainment. It is produced by Mike Warden and is hosted and edited by Jason Klamm. Our theme song was composed and performed by Richard Levinson. Please visit stolendress.com to listen to our other podcasts, read our blogs, read our tweets, watch our videos, and read our books. Please subscribe on iTunes, and if you like us, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. You can find us on facebook.com/comedyonvinyl, Twitter @comedyonvinyl, and find everything else at comedyonvinyl.com.